Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Seen Beyond and Through with Monty. Right before you is the beautiful and talented Miss Halle Berry. And I put Halle Berry there to ask a question. And that question being, are light-skinned women, are mixed women taking the place of dark-skinned women? And this stems from a conversation about actress Zendaya, who is in negotiations to play the part of Ronnie Spector. Now, I got into an online conversation with a female who stated that biracials are replacing black women. And I told her that that is not the case at all. I don't see that. Because from the research in which I have done, I pointed out that you have many black actresses, and I named names. Lupita Nyong'o, Viola Davis, Cicely Tyson, legend there. Kerry Washington, Taraji P. Henson, Oprah Winfrey, Octavia Spencer, Angela Bassett, Regina King again, Keke Palmer, and this list goes on, people. It goes on and on and on. So it's amazing that she could see one actress, Zendaya, who won an Emmy, and who's in negotiations to play Ronnie Spector, and somehow take that as being that light skins or mixed actresses are taken over from black actresses or full black actresses. Because Zendaya, I do believe, and both Halle Berry do consider themselves black. And I tried to tell her that that is not the case, but she didn't want to hear that. Sometimes people get stuck in their ways, and this cognitive dissonance sets in where once they believe something, they have a very difficult time, even if they're shown the truth right in front of them, not accepting the truth. Now let me explain to you what I consider light skin. This is Nicole Richie. Interestingly enough, now she considers herself black. Obviously there's some mixture there. Her driver's license definitely says black because when she was arrested, it said black. This is Nicole Parker Airy. She's light skinned. This is Vanessa Williams. She's light skinned. And also too, we're going to explore the notion that somehow these light skinned women have it easier than darker skinned women. We're going to see whether in the different mediums, entertainment industry, acting industry, public figures, well-known people, if they do have life easier. Because so many people believe that. And I think that sometimes that's a fallacy. It's not really true to believe that they are more preferred, or that somehow there's this light skin privilege that's running amok. Now, this video is actually a part 2 of my video I did last week about dark skin privilege. And we're going to explore also if darker skinned women do have some type of a privilege. Now, this is not meant to be a competition at all. It's to open up a dialogue, a discussion, and maybe we can release some of those who have that, this animosity, this bitterness, sometimes anger, resentment towards our lighter skinned brethren. Now she's light. So let's go farther into this discussion. And just like the men, when I presented you dark skin privilege among the men, check out that video if you haven't. We're going to explore adult entertainment because there's a connection between adult entertainment desire and and acting. Because many of these producers of adult entertainment were aspiring producers of so-called mainstream acting. But we're going to explore, because this particular medium right here is not controlled by black people. Black people do not control and have never controlled the adult entertainment industry. And like the men, I wanted to bring up right here, Ebony A's is considered the #1 adult black female entertainer of all time. And she's dark-skinned. Believe me, this is a filter right here. She's dark-skinned. So let's have a look at some of these actresses in the adult world and just look at their complexions. She's fairly light, but I'm thinking this is the sun out and this is maybe a filter. Okay. She's dark-skinned. We're looking at a filter right there. Look how smooth her face is, but that's a filter there. She's dark-skinned. She's somewhat dark-skinned too. Keep one thing in mind, camera flashes and filters will lighten you. She's dark-skinned. A medium tone. Not much camera filter going on there or makeup. She's pretty medium tone. Medium tone, but still out in the sun taking a picture. I'm going to say a brown tone right there. With a camera flash. She's a darker tone right there. This is a filter and camera flash right there. A medium tone. But people, as you see right there, these were the ones who they ranked as the top female black adult entertainers. Where did you see anyone that looked like a Vanessa Williams, Nicole Parker Airy, Nicole Richie? You didn't see any of that, because the same dynamic comes into play what I had explained to you about the men. When Caucasians or white people are at the helm of the hiring process, they do not see color the way that black Americans do. They have a tendency to prefer darker tones. They have a tendency to want the exact opposite of what they are. Opposites attract. So someone coming in like a Vanessa Williams or Nicole Parker Airy, very light skinned with light colored eyes, I don't think would be considered an exotic to them, because so many of their women, and they're so used to women with light colored hair, blonde, blonde-haired, blue-eyed women, blue eyes, green eyes, light-colored eyes. So something like them presented in another race would not be an exotic to them, I don't believe. The darker tones or darker-skinned women would be more like an exotic to them. This is the reason why you can see so many white men who are with women of a darker hue. Let's examine this. We have the greatest black female models of all time. And notice who's at the top. Naomi Campbell, Iman, then Tyra Banks. But the top 2 slots are occupied by women of a darker hue. Here's Naomi with the new girl. This is a new girl, and I'm going to butcher her name. It's Adu Achek, something like that. But you are looking at today's top black female model. Obviously, she's from Africa. Well, not obviously, but she is from Africa because I read up about her. But, wow. And she's definitely around 6 feet tall. But what an amazing, this is just amazing. It's kind of like follows the same trend of the men who I posted about a week ago, the male models. All of them were dark-skinned. All of them were from Africa, African countries. And it goes once again, black people do not control the modeling industry. We know who the modeling industry is controlled by. So once again, it proves a point right here that white people prefer black people of a darker hue. Black people tend to prefer other blacks of a lighter hue. Here she is, today's top black female model. Just stunning. She just has an amazing look. So those of you who get up there and say light skin privilege, where is she? Where are they? So I think a lot of time that sends the wrong message. In that type of a message, you are actually hurting the mindset of younger, impressionable, dark-skinned people or dark-skinned women. Here we're talking about women. And what you're doing is that you're falsely boosting the mentality of lighter skins, helping them along to become arrogant, to believe that because they have light skin or because they may be mixed, that somehow that equates to being better. And then many of them, as I pointed out with the men, get out into the real world and they see that, hey, it's not my oyster. Okay, there's her name, A-D-U-T. Adut Aki. Actually, I love her look. It's just amazing. The whole skin, the bone structure, the eyes, everything. Boy, I'm just telling you, it doesn't get any better than this. Here's Kerry Washington again. Now, I'm going to get into something right here. Let's cover a lot of different occupations. Let's get into black female executives. When we get into black female executives and women who are in the Fortune 500 company, this is what I found. Admittedly, she's of a lighter hue. Now, she's in corporate America. And follow me here because you want to notice one thing that I kind of picked up as I was putting this together. She's also in corporate America. Corporate America right here. If I'm correct, she's in a Fortune 500 company. She was the executive of Xerox, I believe. Let me just tell you what I picked up about these women here. You notice one thing about all these women here? All of them have their natural hair. None of them are wearing like a wig or a weave, or lace front or glued in. And I'm not attacking women who wear that. I'm just noticing that, I've just kind of noticed that. And it's almost like really to wear your natural hair, you have to be confident. To be an executive in this type of a position in a Fortune 500 companies, you got to be damn confident. Do I think women with weaves and wigs and lace fronts are less confident? Only if they have a mentality that for them to be beautiful, they have to wear it. And only if you see them with it the majority of the time, that would speak to a lack of confidence. She has braids there. Okay. Here's an executive right here. General Motors appoints first black female officer. She's in a Fortune 500 company, and let's get her name. Born 1962, USA, occupation, business person, position, co-founder and president, Computer Winsco Enterprises, Inc., industry, business, consulting, residency, United States, nationality, American, annual salary, 1.1 million. Mary A. Winston, she has her own company, is a co-founder and president of Winsco Enterprises, a consulting firm. There's Mary right there. Great job, Mary. And she was one of the two black women in a Fortune 500 company. And here's the other. We've seen a picture of her before. Let me get her name. Her name is Ursula M. Burns. And she was a chairman and a CEO company for Xerox Corporation. Let's move on. An Atlanta doctor is now the first black woman president of the American Medical Association. There you go. The first black doctor. So people, here's what I want to say. With these CEOs and business women. We've seen a picture of her before. Notice one thing. And actually, before I go on to that, I want to show you something else too. Before I go on. And so, I wanted to check out black female executives. Black women who are in high positions of power. And this is what I found. Very interestingly. Just have a look. Miss Michelle Obama. Okay, and I'm sure this is scattered all across the United States of America. And people, with this list right here, I'm seeing very few women who look like, let's say, or the complexion of like Vanessa Williams, Tisha Campbell, Nicole Parker Airy. Very few, if any. Which is what I have been stating all along. That when you step into the white world, you're not going to really encounter colorism per se. You're going to encounter racism. White people practice racism. Black people and other people of color practice colorism. That's the big difference there. So to a white racist, you can be as light as Vanessa Williams and as dark as Viola Davis, and a white racist will see you as the same. Okay, we'll stop here. So, as you have just seen, we got to have a look at many of the very successful black women who are CEOs of very big companies. And to me, they wore a wide range of complexions. I don't think that any complexion was not represented. But one thing I did notice was that a lot of them were pretty much brown-skinned women. Not really of the lighter hue, I would say. And goes back to what I said earlier, that you really must have the confidence, the education, and you must have the connections to get into these companies. And these companies, as you clearly see, to be ahead of them, light skin is not going to matter. I will say that light skin will come into play if you're dealing with being a video vixen. If you are dealing with, I would probably say, a stripper, particularly a black stripping club. But as you guys have seen right there, when it comes to like acting, it's kind of like mixed. Light skin is not going to be a detriment for a female who wants to be an actress, because Hollywood is primarily controlled by white men. Now, unfortunately, if it was controlled by black people, other people, POCs, I do believe that colorism will be more of a footnote. But with Viola Davis, you know, and with Alfred Woodard, with Lupita Nyong'o, you clearly see that people of the darker hue do have a chance and a shot, just as much as their lighter counterparts. I'm sure that's surprising to a lot of people who somehow believe that, well, light skin must be a very big advantage. No, it does not. I think that's very much a myth a lot of times, and I think that's overly simplified. And I should get into a bit overly simplified in part 3, because as I've told you, this is going to be a 3-part series. I did the men already. You've seen the men in which I did. So catch this. This was part 1. Where it dealt with the coloration issue, where I completely destroyed the notion that light skin privilege exists among men. No, it does not exist among men. Not at all. It exists more so with women than men. It exists more so with men in terms of finding black men. Let me put this specifically, say this. It exists more so within the black community among darker skinned black men, tend to be the most colorist, tend to have a preference towards lighter skinned women. That's where it exists mostly. But understand this about this so-called preference among lighter skinned women. Someone desiring you or having a preference towards you is not going to necessarily get you a job, get you an education, feed you, clothe you, or things like that. So what I'm trying to say with that is that a lot of times compliments don't really do that. Or people finding you attractive does not really do or provide those types of things. Sometimes it does. It depends on the type of woman you are or choose to be. And I want to show you something else. Since we're touching on this, thing about different industries, let me just go right here and show you in the music category. We'll stop there. So as you can clearly see, the late great Whitney Houston is the most awarded female in the history of music. She's in the Guinness Book of World Records as the most awarded female singing artist of all time. So this is just to say that I don't see this whole notion that people are talking about, that black women are being replaced. I just think that's panicked, and it's just like unfounded. It really is. And it's a shame that sometimes with insecure people, rumors like that can take hold and become truth and fact. You know, black women are well represented in gymnastics. Miss Simone Biles, greatest gymnast of all time. New tennis star Coco Gauff is only 16 years old. The future of tennis, they're still represented there. We still have the old guard. Venus Williams is still playing. Serena Williams is still playing. Let's hope she makes it 24 Grand Slam titles. So, you know, I did this video to show that there's room for all. I truly do not believe that in a professional sense and job-wise that there is such thing as like a light-skin privilege. This so-called privilege to me exists in darker-skinned black men choosing lighter-skinned black women of a lighter hue. It exists in that realm right there. Obviously in singing, athletics is going to be about your athletic ability. In acting, entertainment, there's no such thing as light-skin privilege. If that was the case right there, then you would see all of these light-skinned women who are at the very top of the acting profession. You would see them at the top of any profession. And I don't see that. I clearly see a mix. So therefore, if you're light skin, whatever, dark skin, whatever, medium tone, there's room for all of you. There's no advantage or disadvantage. The advantage is going to be your confidence. It's going to be your skill level, your educational level. The disadvantage is going to be your lack of confidence and lack of preparation. Those things right there, many times, will override skin complexion. Do not believe that somehow light skin equates to having a simpler or easier life. Many light skins know this is not true, and they would tell you that it's not true. Do not believe that having a dark skin equates to having a harder, more difficult life. That's not necessarily true neither. Sometimes a harder or difficult life depends on family dynamics, like, you know, loving family, financial position, educational position, things like that. And I do want to touch on this before I leave. The difference with men and women in terms of like sometimes with men having a preference towards or choosing a partner and versus women. As I pointed out before, with women, the hue or complexion of a man doesn't matter as much. Because women, the most important color to her a lot of times is going to be green. And that's not saying that she has to be a gold digger, but she's going to be more in tune with a lot of times his financial position, how much money he makes. It translates into having a easier life, which I don't blame, to be honest with you. You don't want to struggle with problems that you're going to have without money, because there will be problems even if you have with or without money. And you don't want to compound the fact that, you know, someone is poor or doesn't have money who can't really take care of you. And with women, what's going to override a complexion issue also is going to be height, I find. Height is going to be more important for a lot of women than a guy's complexion. Money and height. But for men, it's going to be the opposite. A man is not going to care how tall a female is. She could be 5 feet tall, 5'1". It doesn't really matter for her, as it would to a female. And the most important thing for him is going to be beauty, how she carries herself, if she's feminine or things like that. So definitely there's going to be some nuanced differences into how they approach their partners, for the most part. So with that, this was part 2 of a series. And I will be doing one more part there where I would touch on the children. But until then, have a great time. Enjoy your day. And I will see you beyond and through.